We can't access your video. Okay. Hi guys. Today we are here with Baylee, who is going to tell us a little bit about herself. Can you tell us what you do and more about yourself overall?
Hi, yeah, I am Baylee Reller. I am a fat loss dietitian. I went to Missouri State for my undergrad program. I have my bachelor's in dietetics from there. And then from there, I went to the University of Iowa. And that is where I received my master's in clinical nutrition. And I also did a 2-year internship there. So spent a lot of time in the hospital. And then kind of after that, while I was going through the internship, I was really trying to dive into what I wanted to do with this degree, because if you don't know, as a dietitian, like, there are so many different things you can do. And I feel like a lot of people think dietitians, we're in the hospital a lot, but we're in so many other places. So there's a lot of options I had, and I kept feeling drawn towards private practice. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. Everyone thought I was crazy because just getting out of school, starting a business, it seems insane. And it has been insane, but in a really good way, and it's been really exciting. So that's kind of what I do right now, private practice fat loss dietitian.
Awesome. And so alongside of that, what does healthy mean to you?
Yes, it's such a good question. I feel like it's kind of hard to answer it really concisely almost, but I guess overall it's feeling good physically, but also mentally. I feel like there's a lot that goes into health. A lot of times we just think of like maybe body size is what people often refer to as, if you're this size, you're healthy. That's not really the case. And I feel like maybe some people may think that about me too, like you have to be a certain size to be healthy. And I definitely do not think that, even as a fat loss dietitian. I think people can find health at all different sizes. And being healthy is going to be more than that. It's going to be how you feel. And I always say, like, do you feel good? And I like it and I hate that saying all at the same time, because it seems super vague. But at the same time, everyone that I work with, like, within a month, they're like, I feel really good. I'm like, yes. And you don't realize, like, how bad you feel until you get to feel good again. And that has to do with how you're showing up every day, your energy. Are you pooping daily? How's your skin look? What's your relationship to food? What's your relationship to your spouse, your kids? All these different things I think can really tie into health, and especially looking at it from physical and also that mental aspect as well, because what is in our mind, it truly matters so much more than I think what people realize. So I would say feeling good mentally and physically.
Yeah, health is just so much more than just calories in, calories out. And I think that's something that like misses a lot of people, or they're not really educated in the sense that like what you feel, how you talk to yourself, like
it matters.
Just your daily habit outside of even just your food can impact your food, can impact how you digest things and how you feel.
Yes.
So it's super valuable.
Yeah. And I always kind of think about it too. A lot of us have gone through school, we've gone through taking tests, and a lot of times people have upset stomachs when they go to take a test. I'm like, yeah, that's that mind-gut connection going on right there. A lot of us experience it. So that's just a little thing that you could probably think back and like, oh yeah, when I'm stressed out, my bowel movements are a little different. So it really does all connect. And even the way you talk to yourself, that's going to matter too, because that's in your subconscious mind, and how you think subconsciously, that's what's going to drive all your decisions every day.
Mm-hmm. And what led you to this career? I mean, I know you said you did a lot of schools, so there was a lot of commitment there. So what drove you into that?
Yes. So this actually was not my initial thought when I was going into college. I started off with physical therapy, went to athletic training, thought about teaching for a little bit. That lasted about a month with that idea. And then after that, I did health science for a little bit, and then I found dietetics. And what eventually led me to there was I was 18 years old. I was taking 8 different medications at the time. Felt terrible. And you would think, like, if I have to take all these medications every day, like, I should at least feel good every day as well. But I wasn't. And I had met with a functional medicine practitioner, and she figured out I had a dairy allergy that I had been living with for 18 years. So as soon as I cut dairy out, I adjusted my diet a lot. my whole life changed. I don't take any of those medications anymore. I feel amazing. I have not been to the doctor except for well visits. So getting to see how much my body changed just from seeing how food affects me really drove me into this field of nutrition. And whenever I say that, like, I don't ever think that every single person in the world needs to be dairy free, but it really just goes to show how certain foods just affect our bodies differently. So I found that super interesting, dove into nutrition. And then while I was at Iowa trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I wanted to do private practice. So I was like, okay, well, now what do I do within my private practice? Because while we do learn a lot in school, I can't do every single thing as a dietitian. It's just, you got to pick a niche. And that's where I came into the fat loss area. I know a lot of women, especially, who have dieted, who have tried to lose weight, and it's very hard. And it's very hard on the mind. And a lot of times I see it being done in not a safe way, in a way that you're starving yourself, you feel exhausted, and then you go on this diet. It works for a little bit. You go off the diet because it wasn't realistic, and then you're back at square one. So you start another diet, and it's like, I was seeing so many people on this continuous diet after diet after diet, and that's no way to live life. So it's like, you know what? What if I teach these people how to lose fat, how to maintain that fat loss without having to really diet? You're just eating to feel good again. You're moving your body to feel good again.
Well, and that's the most sustainable long-term diet, is something that you can stick with.
Yes.
I mean, the short-term roller coaster is just not sustainable. I mean, for anyone, it's not about self-control. It's not about anything like that. It's just not realistic for everyday life.
Yes.
What would be a couple's like sustainable fat loss goals that you tell people when you're just starting to work with them?
Yeah. So I guess kind of thinking about 3. Number 1, I would say inches over the scale. So a lot of times we focus on the scale, and pretty much every weight loss commercial, it's going to be like, lose 10 pounds in this many days. I don't care how many pounds you're going to lose. I'd rather lose inches, because that number on the scale, that's basically your gravitational pull to the center of the earth. That's it. It can be a great data point, but where it becomes a problem is when that number on the scale is making or breaking your day. And that's not what I want for people. So then I would say focus on the inches. Focus on how your pants fit, especially jeans. Like, you can tell when your waist is getting smaller when you put your jeans on. So I think looking at inches over the scale, that is super helpful. And that's also going to tell you, hey, you're losing fat now and probably either maintaining muscle or building muscle. So that would be my number 1 tip there. Number 2, including protein, fat, and fiber at every meal, and kind of going along with that, like, you have to eat. Even if you're trying to lose fat, lose weight, you have to eat, because if you are not eating enough, your metabolism, it's going to slow down because it wants to preserve the food you're eating. It's kind of going in that like starvation mode that we hear a lot. So you still need to eat, even if you want to lose fat or lose weight. And then number 3, I would say move more. And not just like, that's not me saying go spend an hour at the gym every day. No, that's just saying stop sitting on your butt for 8 hours while you're working all day long. See if you can just stand up, do 10 squats, do some push-ups, do some calf raises, whatever it needs to be. Right now I'm standing doing this interview. So just different ways so you're not sitting in the same position all day. Moving more. Well, I guess I'll throw in a 4th one because this one is super important too. Yeah, we'll go with sleep. You need sleep. Yes. 7 to 9 hours. Definitely get your sleep, and that is going to be so important. And that's another thing that people don't realize, that it really is important. It's not just, oh, I'll sleep for 4 hours and then go work out and first thing in the morning. No, I would rather you sleep and then skip that workout at 5 a.m.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just so much stress on your body, and it really does affect how you digest things, like your overall wellness too. And like, I can't imagine, I'm like a 10-hour or I'm a grumpy type person. So if I don't get that and I try to work the next day, it's just a nightmare. Like, I feel like I'm not my best self at all unless I've had a good night of sleep. And I'd much rather, like, if I need to take that nap, take it, than go do yoga, go to the gym if I'm just not feeling well. You just don't feel well.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And so alongside of that, like, how is blood sugar related to weight loss and gain?
Yes. So I would say a common misconception here is looking at your blood sugar, the blood sugar roller coaster only has to do with diabetes. That's not true. Really, everyone should be learning how to manage their blood sugar, and you will see the difference. And probably on the first day you do it, to be honest, because when you are on this blood sugar roller coaster, and that means like you're eating carbs, this is any type of carbs. This is banana, this is bread, this is a piece of candy. It's all going to break down to carbs. Carbs are not bad. That's not what I'm saying here. But when you eat carbs, you're going to spike your blood sugar, especially if you're eating them by yourself. So when you have that spike, you got to have the insulin come in. Now you're going to have a drop in blood sugar. When we have that drop and it drops really low because we had that super high spike, well, now that's when your brain is going to be like, hold on, we're really low on blood sugar. We need energy. We need it now. So then we have those sugar cravings because our brain knows that's going to get us quick energy. So that's kind of like that blood sugar roller coaster that I see a lot of people dealing with all day. And that looks like I'm hungry all day, can't seem to get full, I'm cranky, I'm moody, I have like crashes throughout the day, like kind of highs and lows in energy. That's what that blood sugar roller coaster looks like. So when you're on that all day, you're probably not going to have a lot of energy to move. You're not going to be in a great mood to show up and do the things. And then also insulin in itself, it's an anabolic hormone, which means it's a building hormone. It stores fat. It's not bad. We need insulin. We need this process to work. But if we have so much flooding into our bloodstream all the time, then that's when it becomes like that fat storing, because we do need the glucose for energy. Our body's going to use that. Whatever's left over, we have the insulin being released. It's going to get stored into your muscle and liver. And then that's kind of like your short-term storage. There's only a certain amount that can be stored there. So once those are filled, well, then it's going to go into your fat cells. And your fat cells, that's unlimited storage. You can keep on storing that extra sugar in those fat cells, and that's when that weight gain, fat gain occurs.
Yeah, so I mean, blood sugar is really, really tied in with weight, and it is really interesting wearing a CGM because, you know, I have a nutrition background. I watch what I eat, and I just had no. When I put on my CGM, I was like, oh, like all this, like my eating patterns when I work out, and you know, when I sleep somewhere, you know, outside of the house, or if I'm like sleeping not a right amount of time. All of a sudden, my blood sugar is just like all over the place.
Especially
stress. And I drink coffee. So I always kind of thought that like midday crash was just caffeine. And then I wore a blood sugar monitor, a CGM, and I was like, oh no, like I actually, my eating patterns are off. And all of a sudden at 3 p.m. every day, I was just crashing because I wasn't eating enough protein and I wasn't getting adequate amounts of fiber and all this sorts of stuff. So I think it can be really valuable to test, because even if you're like super healthy, it's another marker.
Yeah, and kind of thinking like that super healthy approach too. Like I have a ton of people where they're like, I eat really healthy, can't lose the weight, I don't know what's going on. So then we start working together and we dive into what exactly they're eating. And I'm like, okay, well, just eating a bunch of fruit for a meal, you need something else. We got to throw some protein in there. We got to throw some fat. I'm even thinking of like acai bowls. A lot of times it's filled with a ton of fruit. Yeah. Fruit is great. We love fruit. But let's also get some protein and fat in there to make it satiating, make it full, help us get off that blood sugar roller coaster.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like so much like healthy food that's marketed as healthy is not necessarily the best for blood sugar. And that's something like I've done a ton of testing with white rice because I live in Hawaii. I eat a lot of white rice because I eat a lot of fish. So typically like I'm going to eat fish with white rice. And what's crazy for me is like white rice spikes me more than a can of
rice. Interesting.
So unless it's paired with like a fat and a heavy protein. And even then, it's not the best. So it's interesting. Every person is going to have such a different reaction to all of these things, but you just don't really know what's healthy for you based on what works for other people. I think it's like not a one size fits all.
Exactly. And it is so much more than the food too, kind of how we started talking about, like, it's going to be more than about the food. It's going to be your movement throughout the day. It's going to be your stress. It's going to be your sleep. All these different things are going to affect your blood sugar.
Yeah. And what do you think your biggest challenge is when you're helping patients or talking with clients, something maybe they don't quite understand or it's just difficult for you?
I would say the biggest challenge, I think, would be patience, because it is so hard, because a lot of them are coming to me like the last resort, like nothing else has worked. Now I'm going to invest in you. Now I'm ready to do these types of changes. But they've dieted a lot in their past, and they've seen like 5 pounds of weight lost super quickly over and over again. But then they also gained it back over and over again. So it's really hard to help them get out of the mindset where you're probably not going to lose 5 pounds every single week. In fact, that might be a little too fast for many people. So really encouraging them to stick with it. We're going to get there. We're doing this for life. This is not like a 75-day challenge. It's not a 30-day challenge. I'm setting you up for life. It's going to take time, especially if you've been dieting for years. Your body just needs to feel safe right now. So step one, we have to just support your body, support your metabolism, and then we can focus more on honing in on that, more of that weight loss.
Yeah, I think it's really valuable. There was something I was listening to a podcast or reading the other day, and they were talking about, they're like, okay, so you've gained this amount of fat over 3 to 5 plus years. You can't expect it to lose it in 3 to 5 months. It's just not realistic without it coming back. Like, it has to be sustainable, and like sustainable long-term change takes time. It does. But it is, I can understand.
It's super hard. Yeah. And that's why I do work with my one-on-one clients for 3 months, because we're going to go through the highs and lows. We're going to go through having a really terrible day, but we're also going to have a lot of really good days. So doing that 3-month period to just get started, I think is really great to help them through that. I'm doing something wrong because I'm not losing weight. Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. No, and it's just adjusting too. Like, okay, maybe this thing didn't work, but something else will. Everyone's so individual. So we're going to go into just like really rapid fire questions. So like 1 or 2 sentences, whatever, the shortest you can get it. A little bit more simple. So the first one for you is going to be, what is your favorite food? We talk so much about nutrition, but I'm a foodie, so I like hearing what, like, if you had to cook something or you had to go out and get it, like, what would be
waffles?
Your favorite?
I love waffles.
I'm such a breakfast food person.
I love breakfast.
Such. And what is your favorite nutrition, like, hack or tip?
My favorite hack, well, I'm also a smoothie person. So I guess a favorite hack I have is to throw vegetables in your smoothie. I'm not a big fan of vegetables. Like, I eat them, but I don't like them raw. So usually for my smoothies, I'll either throw in spinach, frozen cauliflower, zucchini, sometimes carrots, those different types of vegetables. And you can't even taste them. So boosting your vegetable intake, getting your fiber in, getting your antioxidants in, and Yes.
I love smoothies too. I'm right there along with you. And I'm like such a big, I mean, it's about Easter time, so it's the same thing. But like, I'm a big carrot cake person. It's like one of my favorites. And I went on a kick for a while where I'm pretty sure all I had was like carrot cake smoothies for like weeks, because I live somewhere hot. So I'm like, oh, I just want like cold, but also vegetables. And what is one health trend that you wish would end? Because there's like constantly new things coming up.
One health trend. I had a really good one I was thinking about earlier, and I can't remember what it was.
There's so many. It's overwhelming.
I would say any quick fix diet. I mean, there are so many diets out there. Like, I can't even keep up with all of them. And anytime everyone asks me about a diet, even if I don't know about it, I'm just like, do you want to do this when you're 80 years old? And they're like, well, no, it sounds terrible. I just need a jump start. I'm like, okay, well then why even start there? So why don't we just learn how your body works? Learn how these different foods are going to affect you. Learn what we can just do now and forever rather than doing all these jump starts.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, I do. I just thought of a good one. Yes.
Go for it.
Weight loss challenges that are based on the scale. They're really on my nerves this year. And it's causing people to starve themselves. I'm like, no, this is, the intent behind it is good. But at the end of the day, I'm like, no, we should not be doing first, second, third place based on how much weight you can lose in a month or whatever the challenge is. So maybe this.
It also seems awfully miserable. I'm a big eater, so
it's a terrible way to measure success too. Like even as a weight loss dietitian, we talked about the scale. It's not going to be an accurate depiction of losing fat because I assume people want to lose fat rather than losing muscle too.
Yeah, agree. What draws you to Tastermonial? Because you are one of our affiliates. We're very lucky.
I think it's going to be super cool to share this with my clients so that they can truly like see the data, see that what I'm telling you, I'm not just like pulling it out of thin air. It really does matter. When I'm teaching it really does help you with the fat loss. It's going to help you with the energy and being able to show them the data and be like, okay, you had an energy crash. Well, let's look. Maybe they did have a blood sugar crash, just like how you were saying. So having that data to show them firsthand, I think is going to be super helpful. And also to show them how different meals are going to affect their blood sugar too. Because yes, you can notice effects on how your blood sugar is doing without a CGM. But getting this, I think, will just provide additional data that will be helpful.
Yeah, super helpful. And the last question is, what do you hope to accomplish in 2023? We're still pretty new to the year.
I would like every month to be full for my one-on-one clients. I'm really excited to grow that business.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so exciting. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Baylee, for coming and also just for all of the information that you're sharing with everyone.
Thank you for having me.
And where can people find you? So your like social media, and I'll link it all below. But
yes, so I'm on Instagram at New Crew Nutrition. That is NU Crew Nutrition. And then I'm also on Facebook. So you can find me on Facebook at New Crew Nutrition as well. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks so much.